are you running? Why are you...
2 million years. That's the current estimate of how long humans have been at the top of the food chain. After all that time, I believe our reign as a supreme species is ending. By who, you might ask? Have tunas finally congregated and constructed those breathing apparatuses out of kelp? No, not yet. Is it platypuses? Perhaps. I mean, in my honest opinion, they're generally stupid creatures. It's so clear that Perry. Oh crap. How long you been there? All of those options are wrong. The answer you're seeking is this guy, the goose. Oh no, but not just any goose. I'm referring to him, the apex predator of all the gooses. The goose from the Untitled Goose Game. I've played many games in my day. Not many have made me feel like a complete dirtbag like Untitled Goose Game has. Released in 2019 by House and published by Panic Incorporated, I have never felt more alive while playing something at the same time. Right off the bat, I have to give this game props. You have the option of playing it either solo or with the buddy through local couch co-op, which is awesome. Not many games do this nowadays. I chose to play solo for this review. Starting out, you're thrown right into the thick of it. There's no cutscenes, no exposition. You aren't even told where you are location-wise. From what I read online, it's a fictional English village. Where is it? Who knows? What I do know is that you're a goose with an eloquently written to-do list of what needs to be done. Seriously, who wrote this and commissioned this goose to act like this? Come get your mans. Everything on your list centers around committing crimes like stealing or harassing people. Nothing less is accepted. The world opens up as you complete the objectives given to you. There's really no sense of progression other than unlocking new areas. No one speaks though. The game itself does a great job of conveying what people are thinking over time though. As you progress from area to area, the townsfolk make it apparent they don't want you around. It's done in a hilarious fashion because the townsfolk decide that they're anti-goose and openly make it known as if the creature could read the signs that they're putting up. It all comes full circle with a pretty funny ending, and to top it all off, you get some endgame challenges after the story too. This game heavily relies on interacting with the world. You'll be using your beak to bite everything that prompts you to. You can make the goose quack to annoy people and get them to investigate certain areas if you're trying to be stealthy. I like spreading my wings to assert dominance and using the aforementioned beak to interact with everything as much as possible. In between interacting with stuff, you'll be running like the wind and crouching like a predator waiting to pounce on prey. Many of the tasks in this game will require you to combine different moves and then think critically about how to complete that particular objective. Some of the actions are done directly by you. Other times, they can be a little bit more elaborate. You have to manipulate people or sometimes mess with things in the environment. While I was playing, there was this moment where I took this guy's harmonica and started quacking through it as I was running away from him. It was very slapstick and over the top. This game has no fail state. You can soft lock yourself at specific parts of a level though. That's if you do certain actions in a particular order. With you being a grade A killer goose, there's a couple of buffs Mother Nature needed to place upon you, or else this game would have been one giant cheat code. Your movement is not exactly precise. You're reduced to tank controls. It doesn't stop there, however. You're also pretty fucking slow, like your full sprint is a light jog for most people. This game has no XP leveling, skill trees, new moves to learn, or any kind of buffs to pick up. You'll go from the start of the game to the very end, having learned nothing except the different ways you can mess with innocent people. It's hilarious to me because the number one trait you possess and continually develop as the protagonist is hatred. You almost become numb to it at a point. Ironically, when I play games with the morality system baked into it, I always go with the system that aligns with me being a good guy. But that never crossed my mind while I was playing this game. The best part about all of this is that you derive pleasure from inconveniencing good, hardworking citizens. Playing as a villain has never felt better. I think we can all appreciate that there aren't any guns or anything in this game like a particular title. It seems like the games we get nowadays that feature animals as the protagonists kind of make them go off the deep end. A stark contrast to what we had in the 90s. We went from cool, awkward, and wholesome to cursed, nihilistic, and depraved. I'm here for all of it. Before we move on to the next topic, I gotta give props to the reset feature and how it totally doesn't screw you over. You have a handy reset that's readily available. It resets the position of everything and everyone to the start of the interaction. A really cool feature about these resets is that you can keep your progress with the task already done, so it's not a hassle to get back into it and start something new. The villagers are the real MVPs of this game. You can mess with anyone you come across. Animations on these NPCs are fluid. They react to things as realistically as they should. Not so much when you're hiding underneath something. They give up right then and there and become blind to it. I can forgive that though. The general pathfinding they possess is pretty dope. A feature you'll eventually notice is that they remember the location of out of place items if they detect them. If you take a bunch of things and pile them up in a random place, a person pursuing you might notice them and backtrack to those items, placing them back in their initial location after the encounter is done. Their memory isn't foolproof though. You can gaslight people with certain objects and cause mayhem in that regard. Oh hey lady, you wouldn't want me to steal this toy plane or garden tool from you, would you? You know, the tool that you never owned and made these poor souls pay for to get back in their possession. I can't help but feel like I eventually gained this infamous reputation amongst the populace. People go about their business like they normally do, but you can sense how they feel. They'll glance at you if you're standing out the corner of their eye like you're some boogeyman. I don't blame them either. I wouldn't be able to sleep knowing this dude was just running amok and causing so much distress to society. Each person has distinct activities that they perform. Observing the area lets you learn about their individual personality or the hobbies that they like to do. It's funny because there were times when I just stood around in areas and watched people go about their daily routines. Not out of the need to perform reconnaissance, but instead, I felt like I was immersed in the moment to moment. I'm a massive fan of that kind of stuff. That and exciting game maps that feel great to explore, which this game kind of does have a map that I think is cool. You'll slowly unlock it piece by piece and even create shortcuts to get to other areas as quickly as possible. The villagers only become hostile when you start to provoke them. The penalty for getting caught is minimal. Usually they just shoo you away and you also drop any item you happen to be holding. You'll be terrorizing folks in 4 main areas. You have many things you can interact with. Most things you need are in plain sight, but some require you to take certain actions, like knocking over a trash can for whatever contents are inside, or pulling a drawer out from its set so you can use the wreckage to platform. You're pretty much rewarded in some kind of way for exploring every nook and cranny that you possibly can. Your adventure starts in the garden with tools and food. As expected, you only have one person to mess with, which kind of serves as a perfect tutorial. Almost everything here serves a purpose toward one goal or another. After that, you'll gain access to the high street, which is more business centric. This is when the game opens up and you can get people to involuntarily interact with one another. You also get more items and start to see similarities in objects and how you can combine them. It's almost like you take mental notes of where things are and start piecing opportunities together. Hey look mom, I'm on TV! After this location, you unlock the back gardens, where the game begins to challenge you. Entry points become temporarily unavailable, and items are bunched more together. Due to the close proximity of the citizens you're messing with here, you have to do certain objectives in a certain order while being as stealthy as possible. The consequences of not doing that means whatever you have started can easily get unraveled. At this point, I really started to like the game because there was a certain level of detail in terms of where the objects were being placed. These really feel like you're in backyards with a bunch of shit in them. And more importantly, it feels like backyards that are lived in, which goes a long way for immersion.
Pulls up, three-pointer. Bang! Bang! It's good! Wins the game!
After the back gardens, you have the village pub, which is very fitting as the last place before the final area. Up until now, this game has been fairly forgiving, but this place will force you to apply everything you've learned so far and also encourage you to adapt. A perfect example of this is learning you don't have to get carried into the area by hiding in a box to avoid the bouncer. That could be fairly time consuming. You could just untie the bouncer's shoes and waltz right in like you own the place. There's a lot of systems at work here. Some are more subtle than others. Even after all the things you've seen up until now, the hijinks are enough to keep you entertained. As challenging as this place was at first, it was also here that I became fully comfortable with this game's mechanics. It was almost as if I channeled some kind of godly goose superpower. I started the game making making rookie mistakes and constantly failing my encounters and attempts. By the endgame challenges, I was just cruising through areas to knock out certain tasks. I was laser focused and confident in my abilities. It felt like that one Fallout New Vegas meme where it shows how comfortable you get with each subsequent playthrough. A nice touch about this game's world is not the items that you encounter on your normal path, but rather the stuff you randomly see while exploring around. I really like the placement of things in this environment. There's no wasted space. If you go off the beaten path, chances are you'll find something you can mess with and bring into other environments to experiment with different approaches. Even then, I feel like things sitting around have a story to them. It's almost as if someone abandoned them to continue progressing another part of their day. Take these items on this ledge. It's almost like a mini story is told here in regards to what someone could have been doing at one point. I think this game looks great. Its art style is minimalist, but yet detailed well enough. It's not some kind of graphical powerhouse, but it has a beautiful aesthetic that more than makes up for that. It almost feels like you're watching a watercolor painting in motion more than you're playing a game. The textures and colors are very smooth and muted. Strangely, it's almost calming amidst all the chaos you're performing. You could quickly identify inanimate objects, but you should also notice that NPCs have few to no facial features. Sometimes when items are bunched up, it becomes a mini scavenger hunt to find a specific thing. It reminds me of that old Scholastic I Spy game where you had to pick out the requested item amongst all the shit you already see on screen. But here, you can quack and terrorize people with all that stuff. You're the monster in this game instead of the victim. I do like the soundtrack too. It's nothing bombastic, it's actually quite the opposite of what you do on screen. Created by Dan Golding, all the compositions were adapted from Claude I'm not going to even try to pronounce this man's last name. It was adapted from all his original compositions. It reminds me of that adolescent innocence you see in a TV show like Charlie Brown or something. I really have to give props to the audio team that had to sync the sound effects you interact with. With the in-game music being sparse, there's more pressure on getting that right, even if it's the most minute thing. Everything sounds just like it's supposed to. Even in certain scenarios, like having a bottle in your mouth, or the sounds I was making while carrying that harmonica from earlier. It's just pure professionalism. Let's just all take a second to be grateful that the duck in this game can't actually talk, because this title will get slapped with a more mature rating, that's for sure. An excellent detail about the audio is that it usually ramps up whenever something in the game is happening. It matches your movement and actions. It's done in a horror-like fashion. You're building suspense before the big moment when you pull off that stunt or prank. So for my only critique of the game, I have to go into detail about a scenario to get across the only negative I encountered with this game. I do feel like it's more of a nitpick than anything. It won't mess with your experience as it didn't soil mine. If there was anything I had a problem with regarding this game, it would be your lack of agency when it comes to completing certain objectives. Let me explain. The tasks you're given are pretty straightforward when you read them, but how someone playing will interpret them varies from player to player. I had to break the shopkeeper's broom. I began considering so many options. I was stumped when I realized none of them worked. I tried removing this kid's glasses and forced him to zombie walk on top of the handle to see if that would snap it. Somehow, he had enough vision to just navigate around it. Well, that's lame. Okay, that's cool. Maybe I just need to progress the level a bit, and I'll get another opportunity down the line. Hey, check it out. I have access to this garage door. Alright, this has to work. I mean, this is a lot of pressure. Being an automated door, it's not just gonna let up. It has no feelings or conscience. What the heck? How do I solve this? Do I need to find a chainsaw or a hydraulic press? It can't be this complex. The solution is very simple. After a quick search, I learned that you have to run up to the store owner as she shoos you away, grab the bottom part of the broom, and pull it until you break it. I guess. I could go on with other instances, but I think you get the point. I don't think it's bad design or anything. I think it's more the game forcing you to play by its rules instead of giving you the reins to truly play how you want. As I looked at scenarios more logically than creatively, creatively, I typically had better outcomes. The thing you need to accomplish is typically right in front of you, especially when it comes to tasks involving NPCs. Watching their actions and what they interact with usually gives a strong indicator of how you can accomplish that objective. That and just blatantly biting and pulling everything at least once. Again, I don't think this makes the game unplayable. It shows how much you need to think critically for some of these tasks. Whenever I looked up how to complete a particular item on a to-do list, I had more of a aha kind of reaction than a how could anyone have figured that out? There was this one weird bug I encountered. This lady kept discovering me despite having her back turned toward me. A quick reset fixed it though. I am genuinely interested to hear if anyone 100% at this game without the help of a guide on a first playthrough. If you are that person, please comment below and tell me how it feels to truly be a god. The question stands, do I think Untitled Goose Game is worth trying out if you haven't played it at all? I'd say it most definitely is worth it. Shoot, I'd say go back and play it even if you completed it in the past. That one thing aside, it's still a fantastic game. It doesn't take itself serious whatsoever, and that's a really good thing. It reminds me of that period in gaming when you'd have those tiers of games that weren't the big budget AAA games, but not the asset flipped slop. You could just start it up at any time and enjoy a quality product. The development team made this with passion and love. It's very evident. While researching the development team behind this game, I learned that the team only consists of 4 people, which surprised me because this is like an actually polished game. They made a great product that I will not be forgetting anytime soon. And also, like I mentioned earlier, co-op is an option available for those who want to pair up and double the trouble. So check it out if you have the chance. If not, please do it for me. These birds have me hostage. It's been weeks since I've talked to anybody. I don't know how much longer I can take this. For anyone concerned, my location is... Ah! What more do you and Goose want from me?